and she's our president, AIWC president. And Beena Jain ji is past president. She's a patron, the senior most person, she's a patron of AIWC.
Punyashree, you can start.
Okay, let's start. One minute. Very good afternoon. Very warm welcome to all of you to this webinar. Today, the subject of our discussion is oceans and its role in climate change. It's comparatively a new subject addressed in our forum. Actually, when we think of oceans, we mainly think of the coastal areas, the livelihood issues of people staying there, the rising water levels, which are sometimes very dangerous, particularly in the rainy season. We are worried about that. And that affects the neighboring areas. All these things are that we are concerned about. Then we are also concerned about the pollution. Oceans being polluted by plastics and dumping of waste in the ocean, etc. Basically, it harms the fish and marine life considerably. So, concerned with all these, our branches have been taking some steps, some initiatives for awareness sessions, interactions with the coastal area people, and also conducting cleaning of beach, etc. I'll cite one or two examples for the sake of Dr. Sheila. Our own branch, Suvarna in Kozhikode, we held an awareness session on the beach for the public, which was very successful. Many people participated. There was a good amount of public there. And then Kakinada branch, Bhanumati ji is here. They had done the actual cleaning of beach several times. That is one. And the down south in Kerala also, some branches are involved with the coastal area people, and they conduct awareness session and various projects with them. So these are things which we have been doing. And but having said that, it was quite surprised when I learned of this the ocean's role in climate change as I was preparing for this webinar. So actually, we all are aware that 70% of Earth's surface is covered by the five oceans. Sometimes we say seven seas. That is the south and north Pacific and Atlantic. That is what I learned through the internet. And also that we know that the oxygen is supplied by the ocean and such things. But the alarmingly, it was quite surprising to know that 50% of the oxygen that we need is supplied by the ocean, and that carbon dioxide, carbon emissions are absorbed. Carbon emissions are absorbed by 25% of the emissions that are absorbed by ocean, and also 90% of the heat emitted by these emissions are absorbed by this ocean. This is quite a lot, and that way I'm sure oceans really help in climate change impacts, reducing the climate change impacts, and also averting a lot of worst situation that we would have been in. Sadly, these do not figure in the climate change discussions or actions. That is the sad state of affairs. And maybe because of that, and because of this importance that UN had declared, it is UNESCO-led initiative, declared Ocean Decade 2021-2030 in the year 2017 for reversing the decline in ocean health. So it's high time that we try to understand more about oceans and try to be a part of these initiatives. So today, we are fortunate to have an eminent expert on the subject, Dr. L. Sheila Nair, with us, who has rich experience in research and have worked on several important projects in this field. She will be telling us the important role that oceans play in tackling challenges of climate change and how organizations, what we want to know is how organizations like ours can contribute. through this webinar, I'm sure we will get some ideas on how we can help in lessening the harms done by ourselves to the ocean and the oceans which are silently protecting us. Before I move on to introduce Dr. Sheila officially and for the presentation, I would request uh, our President, Kalyani Raji, to kindly for her presidential address. Kalyani Raj is our president, AIWC president. Over to you, Madam Kalyani Raj.
Thank you. Thank you, Bhuneshwari, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Sheila ji, for agreeing to
Just moment.
participate in our webinar. And Bhuneshwari has already mentioned the introduction part, and in AIWC, just for your information, mainly for Sheila ji's information, All India Women's Conference is doing quite a lot of work in the branches of All India Women's Conference, is doing a lot of work on the mitigation and adaptation aspects of climate change, particularly relating to from the gender angle, because we understand how women are disproportionately and differently impacted by climate change. And as Bhuneshwari mentioned, some of our branches are doing the beach cleaning and other projects. And in fact, I think in Tamil Nadu, our WIA branch already did work with the fisherwomen, providing solar power to the community. And so at our own level, micro level, we are trying to do a lot of work, mainly from the women's angle, because ours is a women's organization. We have branches across India, and roughly around 500 branches across India, and we have strong network of our members who are working very closely on this climate change issues. And what Bhuneshwari mentioned, it's quite startling what she mentioned about especially about this oceans absorbing the carbon dioxide. Actually, I wasn't aware of it also. So this is just an eye opener for us. And then I think whatever Sheila ji will tell us today will also help a lot in our work for the future, because we understand how this is impacting the general life of many. The climate change is impacting life of many. The excessive heat, the ocean, and the melting glaciers. All of these have some way or other impacted human lives, and particularly the women, because our work is mainly with the women. So it will be good to learn what we can do from the AIWC level, for respect this for the ocean protection. And it is, as far as I know, it is part of the climate change discourse, because AIWC is also part of the Women and Gender Constituency of UNFCCC. And if I remember right, there is an Article 4 of UNFCCC which deals with the ocean. And there are dialogues about the how to protect the oceans, and how to uh, at least protect the developing countries from the impacts of climate change and oceans. So we could do definitely a lot on this. And thank you once again for joining us, Sheila ji, and thank you, Bhuvneshwari, for arranging this webinar. It's a very, very important topic, and I'm sure we'll take back a lot of things from the webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam, for that introduction. And before I move on, I would like to welcome. We have Dr. Sheila. We have our patrons, Beena Jain Madam and Sheila Kakreji, and several other members from all over India. We have very senior members present here now, and I would like to welcome everyone, each and everyone, once again. And I would just introduce briefly our today's resource person, and Dr. Sheila Nair, Dr. L. Sheila Nair. She is the head of the Marine Geoscience Group at National Center for Earth Science Studies, NCESS. It is in Trivandrum. It comes under the Earth Science, Ministry of Earth Science. And professionally, she's a civil engineer holding master's degree in structural engineering from IIT Madras. Her specialization is in coastal engineering. She has been with the Marine Science Division of NCESS since 2006 and was involved actively with several important projects and studies. Before joining CESS, she was with the National Institute of Ocean Technology, Chennai. During this tenure, also, she had worked on many prestigious research projects. I'm not naming all of them, it's a very big list. So in 2017, she was awarded the Certificate of Merit by the Ministry of Earth Science for her outstanding contributions in the field of geoscience technology. She has authored several research papers which were published in national and international journals and have presented more than 70 papers in national and international conferences. Currently, she is serving as a member of Shoreline Monitoring Cell of the Vizhinjam International Seaport Limited, and also a member of Board of Studies in Physical Oceanography, Cochin University. She's a member of several professional bodies in the fields of ocean sciences, engineering services, as well as Indian Society of Remote Sensing. I'm saying remote sensing separately because I feel it's a slightly different field related to space. We in AIWC are quite fortunate to have with us such an eminent expert to talk to us on the subject of oceans and linking it to climate change impacts occurring all around us. We really look forward to your words of wisdom, madam. Over to you for the presentation, madam.
Thank you for the introduction. Shall I start sharing my presentation?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Please do.
Are you able to see it?
Yes. Slideshows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it visible or am I audible also?
Yes. Yes, both.
Okay. So good afternoon to all of you. Today's topic for presentation is oceans, a critical component of climate change. So it is a very hot topic in recent years. So let me start with a definition of climate change. So I have tried to make it as simple as possible, not too much of technical content. So I'll start with this definition. So it is a simple definition. How do you define climate change? It is the long-term alteration of temperature and weather pattern, regionally or globally. And it involves changes in temperature, various parameters like temperature, precipitation, sea level, and also in the frequency of extreme weather events. Coming to the changes that can happen due to climate change on oceans are, one is the ocean warming. The second one can lead to it can lead to sea level rise. The third one is ocean acidification. And I don't know whether you can see this thing on the figure on the right side. So here, if you see, just a minute. Here you can see that, here I have showed the world map. So here you can see that almost the entire Indian coast is vulnerable to sea level rise. Now coming to the drivers of climate change, it's mainly due to anthropogenic activities, I would say. And this climate change that we experience today, it is mostly driven by human activities. And it has resulted in an increase in greenhouse gas concentrations in the Earth's atmosphere. So what do you mean by this greenhouse gases? So all of you would have heard of greenhouse gases. Example is carbon dioxide, which you all know. Then water vapor is another greenhouse gas. Then we have methane and nitrous oxide. All these things affect the ocean climate. Of this, carbon dioxide has an important role. Here in this figure, you can see that is during the industrial revolution period, the temperature, the global atmospheric temperature or the sea surface temperature was very low. It was in fact below the average level. Now, over the years, that is during the last 250 years, it has slowly increased and the level has reached, now it is more than about 1 degree centigrade and 1 to 1.5. Now, if it crosses 1.5, the effect is going to be disastrous. Similarly, as the temperature has started increasing, the level of carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere also has corresponding level also has started increasing. So now it has reached almost the 410 parts per million rate. But if it crosses 450, it is going to be critical. So that means a rise in temperature by 2 degrees Celsius and the carbon dioxide concentration of about 450 parts per million is going to badly affect the universe. So now I told you about the greenhouse gas effects. Now let us see how actually what happens because of this greenhouse gas effect. So this greenhouse gas actually behaves like a glass cover. So if you put a glass cover, what happens? It allows glass cover to the greenhouse. It allows the light to go inside, but at the same time, the heat, it does not get re-emitted fully. So that means a portion of the heat gets trapped in the atmosphere itself. And this leads to an increase in temperature. So that means this emission of greenhouse gas is responsible for the rise in the atmospheric temperature that we see today. So this picture actually depicts the process what I have explained. Now, coming to the major drivers of climate change, I already mentioned that is the three that is greenhouse gases, that is the carbon dioxide. The second one is methane and the nitrous oxide. These three are responsible for the increase in temperature that we are witnessing right now. And how does this gases get emitted? So it is mainly because of the fossil fuel burning, and it is the biggest overall driver of climate change, which contributes to this greenhouse gas emissions. So we need to reduce the use of fossil fuels. That is, we need to adopt other methods like alternate sources of energy, renewable sources of energy like the solar, wave energy, electric, and other forms of like tide, wherever it is possible. All locations it is not possible. So we need to look for wind energy and other sources which are considered as clean energy, which can reduce this greenhouse gas emissions. Now coming to this carbon dioxide emission. So how does it happen and how it makes it vulnerable? Actually, what happens in the present condition, what is happening, lot of deforestation is happening. So the destruction of carbon sinks, such as tropical forests and peatlands, is also a large contributor. So indirectly, it is contributing to the rise in the carbon dioxide concentration. So what is actually the mankind is destroying these ecosystems, and it contributes to the rising atmospheric carbon dioxide. And it's mainly through the burning of vegetation that releases carbon, and indirectly through the loss of vegetation. That is, forest cover is gone. If vegetation is there, it uses this carbon dioxide that all of you must be knowing, even in school level, everybody is learning that. It uses it for the photosynthesis process. It takes carbon dioxide, vegetation, plants take carbon dioxide and they release oxygen. But when we destroy the forest, this is not happening, and this leads to a rise in the carbon dioxide level in the atmosphere. So the contribution of ecosystem loss to climate change is substantial. Actually, 30% of the today's global carbon emissions, we can see that it is can be accounted by the tropical deforestation. So that means the deforestation effect has contributed to 30% of the today's global carbon emissions. Now, coming to the effect of methane, how this methane gas is produced. It is usually produced as a natural byproduct. It is emitted by the decay of organic matter, and it is most notably from the wetlands that inhibit the speed of decomposition. So what is happening right now? In the present world of development, so what we are actually, the wetlands are disappearing. So that means if had the wetlands been there, they would have inhibited the process of decomposition. So decelerated. So that means the methane emission would have got reduced. But now we hardly have any wetlands, natural wetlands present. So that also has contributed to the increase in the methane level. But when compared to the level of carbon dioxide, certainly the methane emission is much less than that. That is, the percentage is much less than that of carbon dioxide. But here, you can say that this methane is 72 times more effective than carbon dioxide in trapping radiation over a 20-year period. So we have to be very careful. Even a small percentage of methane in the atmosphere, small rise in methane can also significantly contribute to this greenhouse gas effects. So even a small increase cannot be allowed. So if you see the statistics, the methane currently constitutes 60% of all global greenhouse gas emissions released by humans. And this also needs to be controlled. Now, because of the drought situations, warmer temperatures, as you all know, result in drying also of wetlands, natural wetlands which are present, and peatlands. And this drying also speeds up the decomposition of the organic material, and this increases the rate of release of methane. So this is also we need to take into consideration, and we should have measures to reduce this. Now, the third one is the greenhouse gas effect. I mentioned nitrous oxide is the third gas which also has an impact on the climate change, which contributes to the rise in temperature. And how does this how this nitrous oxide is released into the atmosphere? It is actually formed as a byproduct of synthetic fertilizers used in agriculture, like burning of fossil fuels, and also it is generated during several industry as part of the several industrial processes. It now, as in the terms of statistics, it accounts for 6% of all human-caused greenhouse emissions. So here again, the percentage of concentration of nitrous oxide is very less compared to that of carbon dioxide and methane. But here you need to pay attention to the fact that this methane can be there in the atmosphere for a long period of time. That is, it can stay in the atmosphere for about 114 years. So even a small percentage of nitrous oxide can have a significant impact on the atmospheric, that is on this greenhouse gas effects. So that in other words, I would say that the impact of 1 ton of nitrous oxide is equivalent to about 310 tons of carbon dioxide. And this can happen over 100 years. Now coming to I have explained about the effects of greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide. Now let us see what are the effects of this climate change on the earth. That is, climate change, as you all know, is drastically drastically reshapes the Earth's ecosystem. It affects the Earth's ecosystem. So the balance of the ecosystem is affected. Rising global temperatures, it intensifies the heat waves and also the extreme weather events. By extreme weather events, I mean this coastal flooding events, then heavy precipitation, storms, cyclones, etc. Then increasing, and this in turn increases the mortality rates and damages infrastructure. Then different marine species and even plant species also face disrupted distributions and ecological interactions because of this. And also they are prone to diseases. Then another thing is that it is mainly on the land side, agriculture and livestock confront threats, endangering food security. Food security is affected. Then even water resource is also affected, exacerbated by droughts and reduced precipitation. Then another thing is that this biodiversity strains will alter with altered phenology, that is the pattern and seasonal variation in these events. Then habitat loss, then pollution, and it results in habitat loss, increased pollution, and also in the production of invasive species, which are harmful to the ecosystem. Then marine environments also suffer from rising temperatures, ocean acidification, and altered currents, which impact biodiversity and also the coastal communities. In addition to all this, climate change also accelerates soil degradation, erosion, salinization, that is the salinity level in the wetlands and water bodies, inland water bodies also is likely to increase, particularly in the estuaries which are connected to the seas. Then also it results in biodiversity loss affecting freshwater availability and quality. So this freshwater availability, particularly near the coastal areas, will be badly affected because of the storm surges and cyclones. Now, how is it going to affect a country like India, which is a developing country? So here you can see that even though all of you know that India is having the maximum population, that is, it's inhabited by about 211.93 million people, but the coastline length is only 0.25% of the world's coastline length. So with 640 districts in India, 76 out of which 76 districts are coastal districts. That is, and these districts share about 70, that is nearly 1/5 of the Indian population, national population. And most of these people, that is, this 70% mostly stay within 50 kilometers of its coastline. That means nearly 250 million people reside near to the coastline. And another important thing that we need to pay attention is that 13% of the world's cyclones occur in the seas around India. So this is also going to have a bad effect, bad influence on the coastline. So that means almost the entire Indian coastline is vulnerable to this changes due to climate. Here you can see that I don't know whether you can see it, that entire Indian coastline is going to be affected. So that is, this table shows that actually the composition of the geomorphology of the Indian coast. So that it is composed. We have 43% of the coastline covered by sandy beaches, 11% is rocky. So this 11% is not going to be impacted or influenced by this climate change. But definitely small amount of influence will be there, but not to a considerable percentage. Then muddy flats that constitutes 36%, that occurs where the tidal range is very high in regions like Gujarat. Then marshy coast, it constitutes 10% of the total coastal area. So this 36% and 10%, that is muddy flats and marshy coast, are slowly disappearing. So this will have an impact on the coast. So it will affect the vulnerability of the coast to these events. And the total length of the coastline, that is Indian coastline, that we have the east coast and the west coast and also the islands. So total length is about 7,516 kilometers. Out of that, you can see that is the last the table, the last that the last row shows that is that about out of this about 1,000, more than 1,600 kilometers is presently affected by erosion. So that means already the condition is in a bad state. And population, I have mentioned that the coastal states and UTs put together is 560 million, and island territory, it is 0.44 million. By island, I mean the Lakshadweep Islands, 10, which consists of 10 inhabited islands, and the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So 10 coastal districts and 3 union territories. We have 7,500 meters length of coastline. So these are the maritime states: Gujarat, Maharashtra, Goa, Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Pondicherry, Andhra Pradesh, Orissa, and West Bengal. Out of this, actually, if you see that this coastal area itself can be classified into 3 zones. That is a height, that is based on the tidal classification. So we have areas with which are having micro tidal, which are under the influence of, which are not much under the influence of it. The tidal range is only of the range about 1 to 2 meters, and we call it as the micro tidal coast. And the next category is the mega tidal. So there we have tidal ranges of 2 to 4 meters, and the next one is 4 to 8 meters, that is experienced in the Gujarat area. So Kerala, Tamil Nadu and all that, the tidal range is 0 to 2 meter range. So there actually it is comes under the micro tidal category, and here actually the nearshore dynamics is mostly dominated by the wave conditions because the tidal currents are not high. But as we move towards the north from the south, so what happens is the tidal conditions, that is the tidal range increases and the tidal currents dominate. So the coastal hydrodynamics is, that is the nearshore dynamics, the nearshore currents and all those things are dictated by the influence, more by the influence of tidal tides. So we have that is below the down south, we have the tide, that is the wave dominated coast, and towards north it is like a central part of India, it is more like a tide dominated coast. Now coming to that, because I just wanted to show that why this study is important, because already our, as I mentioned earlier, our coastline is under threat, major portion of it. And I mentioned that out of 7,500, only 1,600 is already showing signs of erosion at various stages. So this particular plot, actually figure, shows the percentage, the percentage erosion, accretion, and stable status of the various maritime states. So here, if you see the figure, you can see that the maximum erosion is occurring in the state of West Bengal. The next one is Pondicherry, even though the shoreline length is much, coastline length is much less, but it has 57% of the coast is eroding. Next comes Kerala with 45% and Tamil Nadu is 41%. So you don't think that that these other states are in a better condition. As far as I can tell you, as far as Kerala is considered, even this spot, the remaining that is 55%, if you see, no, though that is not in a better shape or this thing. Actually, those those part of the coastline is kept intact mostly because of well constructed protection measures like sea walls and all those things. Otherwise, the coastal erosion percentage would have increased to about 60 to 65%. So it is because of the protection measures we are able to contain this coastal erosion, and it is maintained below 50%. But even this 45% can be considered as quite high, because we need to spend a lot of money every year to protect our coastline. So on top of that, we are going to have the impacts due to climate change, which is going to affect the coast badly. So now this is the shoreline status. I have already shown you the graph plot of that. And here again, you can see that the percentage wise erosion, stable and accretion condition. So you can see that almost one third of the coast, total coastline length is under erosion. I'm not going into the details because lack of time. And now, again, based on various other key parameters, the International Center for Ocean Information Service, which is a sister organization of NCERS, has already done this study. They have demarcated the coast into various, they have computed the vulnerability index for different parts of the Indian coast. So that is the various key parameters that they have considered are the tidal range I have already mentioned, then the wave height. Wave height is very high in the southern region. So that is why we are having the wave dominated coast in that region. For example, Kerala, we have very high monsoon waves of the order of 2.5 to, it can go up to 8 meters also maximum wave during extreme conditions. Then coastal slope is another important factor which is going to affect the vulnerability, that is impact. That is because coastal slope, we can see that as you move to the south, that is particularly the Kerala region and all, the shelf width is much less. So because of this reduction in shelf width, when high waves approach, in no time they reach the shore. So that means not much of dissipation takes place before it reaches the coast. But if had it been a flat, this thing, near shore region is flat, if the slope is gradual, it will take sufficient time to dissipate its energy. That is, if the shelf width is wide. So that is why this area we have high waves approaching the coast. That is particularly up to Kerala, up to Mangalore. And the other side, Tamil Nadu also, we have considerably high waves. Then coastal elevation, that is, I mean, the elevation of the coastal land, that is also important, because when the storm surge, due to the impact of storm surges, the flooding is decided by the elevation of the land. So in regions like where low-lying regions, there are certain areas where it is lying below the sea level also, like for best example, ideal example is the Alappi district in Kerala. So here, it actually the land elevation at certain location is much below the mean sea level. So that is whenever the flooding occurs, so the water will flow towards the landward side, but it will not return to the seaside. So it is also crucial. It makes the areas more vulnerable to these impacts. Then, as I mentioned already, the shoreline change rate is also important. How the shoreline changes, that whether it is an accreting coast or eroding coast, or it is in a more or less stable form. So over the years, a stable coast can also change into an accreting coast and eroding. Throughout, it need not be remain in the same state. It is mostly because of more of anthropogenic activities like the construction of hard structures. In addition to that, natural factors like increase in storm events, cyclones, etc. also can contribute to the rapid change in shoreline. Then geomorphology, and I already mentioned that is by geomorphology, I mean the material with which the coast is made of, like rocky coast, beach, then sandy beach, then marshy area and all this. Then historical rate of sea level change also is taken into account, and this map is already prepared, and it gives an idea of which are the areas which are prone to erosion and which are the critical areas have been identified. Now we need when it comes to the monitoring of climate change impacts in India, there are certain key parameters that we need to monitor. So that is, these are the parameters that we first of all, we need to monitor the changes in weather patterns, then cyclonic distributions, then sea level rise, how it is rising, whether the rise takes place gradually or it is a rapid change. Then changes in the agriculture needs, that is, if there is inundation during the coastal flooding, then the agricultural areas nearby uh, will get affected, as because of the seawater intrusion will be there. Then changes in freshwater supply. Nowadays, there is depletion of groundwater happening in the land region, and this will cause the flow of seawater into the land, also in coastal areas, and thereby increasing the salinity and also badly affecting the quality of water. Then impacts on forest and natural ecosystems. I have already mentioned that how the deforestation can increase the carbon dioxide emission. Then all these things can also have can affect the human health also. So now coming to the climate change impact on marine life. All these things have profound impacts on the oceans and marine environment in India. And this exaggerates environmental and socio-economic challenges. Rising sea temperatures due to this global warming conditions threaten the ecosystems, particularly the marine ecosystems, by causing coral bleaching and disrupting habitats crucial for fisheries resources. So without proper habitats, these marine organisms cannot survive. Then now, as you all know, there is global warming. Because of the global warming, the warming waters of the Arabian Sea increase the vulnerability of coastal communities and ecosystems. And because of this, there is a lot of destruction of mangroves and coral reefs happening. And it also affects the fish population and biodiversity, which is critical for the livelihoods of coastal communities, which are depending on fishing and also the tourism. Then another important outcome of this ocean climate change is ocean acidification. I'll come to that in my next slide. Ocean acidification and sea level rise, when it acts together, compounds these issues, endangering coastal infrastructure and exacerbating risk, directly affecting common people by disrupting fisheries, reducing the fish stocks, threatening livelihoods which are dependent on seafood, and diminishing natural coastal protections against erosion and storm events. And now let us see how this the effects of climate change on ocean. First is the rise in sea level. Already, Bhuvaneshwari madam has already mentioned that the sea level is going to increase. But how does it happen? This sea level rise is happening primarily, it is driven by two main factors. That is the melting of ice. It can be sea ice and also the glaciers which are present on the land. This can also increase the effect of climate change. This melting ice caps and glacier, particularly in the Greenland and Antarctica, you might be wondering how this is going to affect a tropical region like India. But this melting of ice causes a regional rise in the sea level, and this, in fact, this water it's getting recycled globally. That is, we call it as the Great Conveyor Belt. And this is how the ocean controls the global climate. So that is going to be affected because of this melting of ice in Greenland and Antarctica. Then this influx of melted ice increases the sea level globally, and also it can happen in a regional scale also. And another thing is, as the sea level rises, evaporation of water takes place. And this will cause thermal expansion, which will result in an increasing volume of the water in the sea. So that means this will also result in a rise in water level. Another thing is due to the subsidence of coastal land areas. So suppose due to the melting of ice on land, that is that weight, there is a reduction of weight or the overburdened weight on the land. And it's like, and actually the sea level, the land rises. So the sinking suddenly rises. So this also will cause a change in the elevation of the pattern of the land. Then subsidence in river, delta region, land movements and tectonic displacement also can cause. Suppose the subsidence of land takes place. That means the coastal areas will become more prone to sea level rise because there is a loss of reduction, there is a reduction in the elevation of the coastal land. Then terrestrial water shortage, water storage, extraction of groundwater, building of reservoirs, changes in runoff and seepage in aquifers can also contribute to this sea level rise. So that means the sea starts invading the land area. So now finally, I would say that this dual process of melting ice and thermal expansion underscores the urgent need for climate action to mitigate emissions and adapt to the inevitable impacts of sea level rise on coastal communities and ecosystems. Now coming to the Indian context, present significant challenges to the coastal areas in India, particularly the low-lying areas, cities like Mumbai, Chennai, and Calcutta. Mumbai, most of the coastal region is a reclaimed area. So that means it needs to be protected, and land elevation is going to be much less, and we need to protect it by huge investment. That is, then another thing is that coastal communities along both the coasts, that is Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal. On the west coast, we have the Arabian Sea, and the east, it is the Bay of Bengal. Both are threatened by high risk of flooding and erosion. Because of this, there has been an increase in the number of extreme events, which has been occurring in the recent past, and erosion as sea level continues to rise. Then another thing is that we have most of the airports are located very near to the coastal areas. So infrastructure such as, then we have the ports also, then ports, airports and coastal roads, which are crucial for the country's economy, is threatened by the saltwater intrusion and also erosion due to these extreme events. And we need to have strategies how to mitigate this measure, and also we need to have plans for adaptation also. Then another thing is that it leads to the destruction of mangroves and beaches, that is exacerbating risk to habitats and livelihoods which are dependent on fisheries and tourism. Now, coming to the rising temperatures, we have already experienced that during the last 1 decade, the rise in temperature has been considerably high. And this warming is not uniform globally, with the Arctic experiencing particularly rapid temperature increases, leading to drastic reduction in sea ice. And all of you must be knowing, many of the hottest years was during the last decade. Then these rising temperatures primarily contribute to also affect the human activities, and this will result in the increase of greenhouse gases from fossil fuel combustion and land use. This I have already mentioned. I'm not going into that details. Now, coming to the extreme weather events. So this climate change also has intensified various extreme weather events impacting the ecosystems, human health and economy. As you all know, in recent years, the hurricanes are becoming more intense due to warmer sea surface temperatures, leading to stronger storms and increased rainfall. Actually, the precipitations are becoming a heavy precipitation for a short duration. But earlier, we used to have this distributed heavy rainfall during monsoon. But nowadays, the pattern has changed. We have sudden this heavy rainfall occurring for a short period. So, but if you see that rainfall statistics, the overall rainfall received remains the same. But here, in a short duration, we are getting the entire rainfall. So that means it is the effects are that this vulnerability is more because it leads to flooding, both land-based and coastal flooding, which combined with high rising sea level exacerbates coastal flooding. Now, droughts are worsening as higher temperatures cause more evaporation and altered precipitation patterns, results in prolonged dry spells with reduced snowpack, diminishing water supplies. And it's not that important for in our context. Then floods are more frequent and severe due to heavier rainfall, rapid snow melt from warmer temperatures, and rising sea levels. So that is whenever this snow melt is occurring and there is a sudden flow of water from this region, and when it coincides with this extreme events like storm surges, cyclones and all, that impact will be much more. And again, when it coincides with the high tide conditions, the impact on the coastal areas will be quite significant. Now coming to ocean acidification, this is an important effect of this impact of climate change on the ocean. Now coming to the causative factors, it is primarily caused by the absorption of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. An ocean actually absorbs most of this carbon dioxide which are present in the atmosphere. And due to this process, there is a lowering of the pH value of the ocean water. That means the chemistry of the ocean is changed. So that means it becomes more acidic. So the main sources of carbon dioxide emission contributing to this phenomenon include, I have already mentioned, industrial activities, fossil fuels, deforestation, etc. Then and impacts. The increasing acidity of the ocean has effects on life, marine life and ecosystem. Then acidic conditions can lead to coral bleaching and eventually reef degradation. Actually, this coral for example, in the Lakshadweep Islands and all, these fringe corals, they act as the first line of defense when high waves attack the islands. So that means the protection is gone when this coral islands are affected. So coral reefs, crucial habitats for a diverse range of marine, are particularly vulnerable and as their calcium carbonate structures dissolve. Now, another effect of this ocean acidification is that that is due to this, there is a reduction in the carbonate content in the ocean, calcium carbonate. And most of this marine organisms, that is particularly these shell organisms that have shell, fishes, like the shellfish, oysters and all, they need this calcium carbonate to develop their shells. But this process of development of the shells and skeletons is badly affected because of this ocean acidification. And this disruption cascades through the food chain, affecting fish stocks and marine biodiversity. Additionally, ocean acidification can alter marine habitats. And this can result in decreased fish population sizes and also impact fisheries and the livelihoods of communities. So this I have already mentioned, decreased availability of calcium carbonate and increased acidity, changing ocean chemistry and its impacts. And it will harm life forms that rely on carbonate-based shells and skeletons. Sometimes this organism, they have the ability to adapt to these changes, but it cannot fully adapt. But in that process, actually the life cycle is affected. So it can also harm organisms higher up the food chain that feed on this sensitive organisms, because they won't get, when this small organisms die, they won't get, that is, it will affect the life of the predators also. And this I have already discussed. Calcifying organisms use calcium carbonate for building shells and skeletons. It slows the growth of calcium carbonate structures, and under some severe conditions, some of these organisms, they dissolve these structures faster than they form. That is in the process of adapting to this acidic environment. So in this process, they struggle to stay healthy under increased acidity. Just like humans, marine organisms require optimal conditions inside their bodies to stay healthy. So when this acidity is increased, that is beyond the optimum range for for an organism, its body must use more energy to maintain healthy body fluid chemistry. So in that process, what happens is that it will not live for his full life. Before, so in some cases, before reaching the adulthood itself, it dies. Then the organisms which are badly affected are mussels, sea urchins, and crabs start to dissolve their protective shells to counter elevated acidity in their body fluids, which impairs their overall health. Then another thing is that many of this marine organisms, particularly the fish and invertebrates, have complex life cycles, and they have that is, they spend their early lives mostly as larvae, and this larvae actually through currents they are transported to distant areas, calm environments where they stay and they grow to the adulthood. But usually this due to ocean acidification in this process, this tiny larvae sometimes they are able to reach that safe environment, but during that process it has some serious health issues also. The fish larvae loses their ability to smell and avoid predators. So in that case it becomes, its life itself is affected. So what happens, that vulnerability here means that the organism is able to reproduce. Sometimes it affects the reproduction capability itself, but in some cases, the organism is able to reproduce, but this offsprings, which are mostly in the form of larvae, may not reach its adulthood. So that means it is going to affect the fish catch. So this are, I just put some examples here, which are the fishes which are going to be affected, that is clams, oysters, scallops, mussels, and all those things, so that you'll have 5 mentioned. So I have just put the shown the photographs also. So while it may take hundreds of years before humans are directly threatened by anthropogenic climate change through droughts, because human can most easily adapt to it. But in the ocean, the situation is different. Rising seas and fiercer storms, the effects of ocean acidification, it is very much in the accelerated stage. Now coming to the solution part of it, what we can do to reduce this acidification in our ocean. Addressing ocean acidification requires both global and local efforts to reduce carbon dioxide emissions and mitigate its effects. So that is where this organizations like the All India Women's Forum can contribute. That is, implementing policies and practices that reduce carbon emissions from industrial sources, transportation, and energy production. Then you can also promote the use of renewable energy so that the burning of fossil fuels can be reduced. The transitioning to renewable energy sources such as solar, wind, and hydroelectric power will be a good option to reduce reliance on fossil fuels. Then we need to protect our marine habitats, establishing marine protected areas and implementing sustainable fishing practices to safeguard our environment, particularly the vulnerable species like the coral reefs and the shellfish bed. Then we need to properly monitor also these various key parameters which give you which tell you about the vulnerability of that area to this climate change. That is, research and monitoring is also equally important. Investing in scientific research and monitoring programs to better understand the impacts of acidification and develop adaptive strategies. Now, coming to the cyclones per year, I have already mentioned that both our coast, that is east and west coast, are prone to cyclonic effects. But in recent years, it is mainly due to climate change. I would say that the Arabian Sea has started experiencing increased number of storm events. Earlier, in the Bay of Bengal, it used to be, compared to the Bay of Bengal, it used to be in the ratio of 1:4. But that is if you see the statistics for the past 150 to 200 years. But now the things have changed, particularly in the last 5 to 10 years. And here the contributing factor is mainly the global warming, the rise in temperature. So according to the experts, this increase in temperature, actually earlier the Arabian Sea used to be cooler than the Bay of Bengal. So the ideal temperature for the formation of a cyclone is about 28.5 degrees centigrade. And this temperature in the Bay of Bengal will be used to be around 28 degree, and it used to be considered as a warm pool. So even this reminiscent, this cyclonic, that is a deep depression conditions, when they reach the Bay of Bengal region, though they take energy from this warm pool and develop into cyclonic storms. That used to happen here. The similar condition has started developing in the Arabian Sea. That is why we are having an increase in the number of extreme events in the Arabian Sea also. Because this additional heat, where it is coming, that is that it has been reported there has been an increase in temperature about 0.5 to 1 degree Celsius in the Arabian Sea, and this has been contributed by the greenhouse gas emission like the carbon dioxide. Now, another best example, I would like to take the example of Mumbai. Now, lot of reports are there that is in the coming years, that is by 2050 or 2060, whether Mumbai is going to be flooded. So India, it's going to, coastal area is going to be affected, fully flood underwater. That is, India particularly, as you all know, India particularly West Coast is at high risk, particularly in recent years, because we are in the tropical belt. Weather systems are relatively short and fast moving, and another thing is that it is become less predictable also. We have very good alert systems, that is climate prediction systems, sea state prediction systems, but because of this fast moving system, the predictions are not that accurate. We need to improve on it. The tropical waters are warming at a fast rate, and the Himalayan glaciers are also melting rapidly. The sea level rise in Arabian Sea is not just due to the melting of ice, and it's largely due to the thermal expansion, warming of ocean also. And because of this, India is witnessing a clear trend in rising sea level, cyclones, floods, landslides, heat waves, and droughts. And this in turn has affected the food, water, and energy security of the region. And Mumbai has always been vulnerable to flooding and extreme weather events, and mostly because a major portion of it is made of reclaimed area. The effect of climate change actually accelerates this risk, necessitating immediate action to protect the city and its inhabitants. But as per the reports, the present rate of sea level rise is about 3 centimeters in a decade. That means about 3 mm per year. In 10 years, it is 3 centimeters. So in a year, it is about 3 mm per year. So that means I'm just giving you an example with the beach slope. That is, suppose the beach slope is very mild with about 0.1 degree, and the sea level is rising at the rate of 3 mm per year. That means this will cause a result in a loss of 17 meters wide beach. This can lead to that. So similarly, in the next another 10 years, another 17 meters go. But so we have regions where we hardly have any beach. So it is just protected by seawalls. So there is a so as per the predictions, IPCC predictions, there is a possibility of sea level increasing even up to 5 to 7 mm per dividend. So at any cost, we need to prevent this. So we need to take suitable adaptive and mitigation measures to prevent this. Then consequence of accelerated sea level with its expansive coastline, low-lying areas, the city is highly vulnerable to inundation, and the sea encroaches further. And the coastal population, the population density is also very high and I think it has the highest population density compared to other parts. In Kerala also, the coastal population density is very high, where the state average is only 850. The coastal population density is more than 2000. Per square kilometer. So that means all these areas are under high risk. We can consider as high risk regions. Now coming to the adaptation and building resilience, how do we cope with the sea level rise? So that we need to maintain healthy coastal ecosystem. So we cannot allow destruction of mangroves, seagrass beds, coral reefs, which all provide soft protection. They'll have actually these act as barriers, helping in reducing the effect of high waves. So this will reduce the impact of coastal waves on the impact of waves on coastal areas. Then another thing is that we can alter the design conditions, that raising the floor level of buildings constructed very near to the shore, that is possible. So we can increase the design conditions, that is the floor level, taking into consideration the rise in water level and also the storm, that is how much the wave heights are going to increase. As per the recent studies reports, scientific studies conducted, the wave heights are going to increase about 5 to 7% per year, and also the wind speed is also going to increase. So all this will have a significant impact on the coast. Then another thing is that we can think of having elevated buildings where the ground floor is not occupied. So in that case, the buildings will be protected. Then strict implementation of CRZ rules, because I hope all of you are aware of this coastal regulation zone rules, and there actually the setback distance is mentioned. The coastal zones are classified into 4 categories: 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 deals with the intertidal zones, and there the buffer area is mentioned clearly. And 2 is actually activity. It is not development activities are not allowed. 3 is rural areas and where less development is there. But in 2019, again, this 3 has been bifurcated into CRZ 3A and B, where some minimum activities are allowed in 3A region and with a buffer of about 50 meters. Otherwise, the buffer area is about 200 to 500 meters. So that means that from region that is from 0 to 500 meters, the coastal area has been classified into 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the rules have been set, and we need to follow these rules. Now, building barriers is another measure that we can adopt, but it is not always possible, as it is going to be very expensive, because hard structures which can resist this high wave activity, storm surges, and all those things, which they need to be really strong. So that means a lot of money we need to spend. Then another thing is that the fishermen will not have that, they will not have the beaches to land their boats. So they actually, it is not suitable for the fishermen area, because they are very much worried about their livelihood. Expensive, then disadvantage, expensive, ecologically damaging effect, it affects the salinity of bay areas, sedimentation, and some areas it may cause too much of sedimentation. Then wetlands also will be affected. Wildlife and endangered species can cause upstream flooding. Then this construction of hard structures, it is also a part of adaptation measure. That means somehow we need to survive. That is, the coastal area needs to be protected. So this hard measures are resorted to, like construction of seawalls, groins, levees, etc. And some areas like in Japan and all, they have 2 levees, outer and inner levee. And actually there is a large gap in between, so that it will act as a buffer when high wave activity or storm surges attack the coastal areas. Then adopting soft measures, that is actually, it is the preferred, actually, that is the one which we should advocate for. That is soft measures which will not have a permanent impact on the coast. So soft measures like beach nourishment, construction of sand dunes, because many areas that earlier where the sand dunes were there, it has disappeared either due to extreme events or due to anthropogenic influences, construction, localized construction, etc. on the shore region. Then dune regeneration, also we can think of dune regeneration, where the dunes have been damaged. Then we can reconstruct it so that we'll restore the natural environment. Planting of mangroves, or in the where the mangroves have been destructed. That also can be thought of. That afforestation, like planting trees, shrubs, etc., which can survive in marine environment, coral reef preservation, etc. Then elevating existing fill land and protecting it with armory. Then living shorelines, that is very important. That is, I told you earlier, many of this tidal marsh region and coastal wetland areas have disappeared over the years due to the development activities, and so we need to restore those areas. So those areas, if present, they act as a buffer, and they reduce the effect of storms and etc. Storms, high wave activity, etc. on the shore. So we need to preserve those things. If not present, we should try to develop those. Wetlands are essential for the health of estuaries also. They protect shorelines from floods and erosion by absorbing waste and slowing the way. Then challenges and way forward. So that is already mentioned. So we should look at reducing greenhouse gas effect, protecting and restoring coastal ecosystems, mangroves. And now this, the last point I have not mentioned, that is education and public awareness. There, where organizations like the All India Women's Forum can contribute. Education and public awareness are crucial for fostering sustainable practices and promoting adaptation strategies that ensure the health and well-being of marine ecosystem and human population. Now, measures to be adopted so that these measures can be ecocentric or anthropocentric. So that means first is that we gives equal value to, that is ecocentric measures means it gives equal value to all living organisms and the ecosystem in which they live. And here the emphasis will be to preserve these ecosystems. Whereas in the case of human-centric, the role of humans is to control nature and manage environment. So it will have certain disadvantages. The ecosystems will be affected. So but recently what is happening is we are not going for neither ecocentric or anthropocentric. It's a combination that we are adopting. So I have mentioned hard engineering measures. It is for adaptation purpose. And these are some which I have already mentioned. We can elevate the building, leave the ground floor. Some examples I am showing so that you'll have an idea of it. Then restoration of coastal wetlands. This type of wetlands have disappeared in certain areas. So that we need to restore it. So they act as buffer region. Dike construction, this is where I have mentioned that this type of high elevated areas can protect the land area. That's particularly when the land is at a lower level than the mean sea level, low-lying areas. Then this type of adjustment, that lower one which you see on the left side, it is like we are adjusting the beach area. That is, beach scraping is possible, and also we can additionally provide sediments to the beach, build the beach. So that is called as beach nourishment. So but here we need the sediments. From where do we get? So that is also already we hardly have any sediments because of this reaching the beaches and all, because of the dam constructions and other activities, anthropogenic influence, because from river itself the river sand is being mined. So ultimately this sediments which used to find its way to the coastal areas through inlets, it's not reaching it. Ultimately this sediments, there is a drastic reduction. So now we need to supply this material to the beach, so that using from secondary sources. But the thing is that we have to be careful when we provide artificially nourish the beaches. This material should have the same properties like that of the original natural beach. Otherwise the behavior is going to be different, or at least it should have a slightly higher it can be a slightly coarser grain size than the original, but it should not be finer means immediately it will be fully washed away. Then planting of mangroves. I mentioned about afforestation. Deforestation is causing all this trouble. So we can think of planting mangroves. Then seagrass is another thing which can be attempted. But this is applicable only in the areas where the wave activity is not that high, low to moderate regions. We can account. Then managed retreat is another option, but people do not prefer this, because it is planned abandonment of threatened area near the shoreline. So that means if sufficient area is there, and if the region is not densely populated and sufficient land area is available, this buildings we can move it to backward to the land area, Another thing is that it minimizes human suffering by relocating buildings and infrastructure to safer ground before a catastrophic event of flooding occurs. And it is less expensive than hard measures like construction of seawalls, etc., especially when structural measures can only be temporary. But this cannot be adopted in areas where we have important structures like this power plants, nuclear plants, and all this. We need to protect those areas at any cost. Then it can also be designed to allow restoration of flood buffering wetlands. I have already mentioned. Now, disadvantages: managed retreat potentially can be very expensive for areas that are significantly developed, like in regions like Bombay, and it will cause a loss of coastal property values if setback lines are moved. It is a measure of last resort for mainly highly developed coastal areas that have no places for buildings to be relocated. So this method cannot be adopted for regions like coastal regions like Bombay. But then limitations are it involves legal issues because not all property owners are willing to sell their land. Then shoreline communities are already disadvantaged and lack the adaptive capacity to relocate. They may not agree for that. This is where we need public aware. We need to educate the people and make them aware of the consequences. Retreat may require costs beyond relocation or property costs if site cleanup such as to remove toxics is needed. So if you are shifting to an area where it's a polluted environment and then we need to clean that area. We need to spend considerable amount of money. So now these are the various options. Now beach erosion, as I said, is another problem we need to combat. So beach erosion, the various methods that can be followed. First is avoidance, that we should not allow any development activities in such vulnerable or sensitive coastal areas. I have already mentioned that we have already the vulnerability index map prepared. So if you see that map, we can identify that areas which fall under the high risk category. So we can avoid all development activities in such areas. At least new development activities can be avoided. Then maintenance. It is that we need to retain and maintain existing coastal defense and structures, but no defenses are set up. So that means continuous maintenance is required. Huge amount of money we need to spend. So that is one method. Then retreat. That is, we need to relocate the people, move people and development out of danger zones. So that some people may not agree, then advance, we can go towards the sea, build new defenses. That is, already some defenses are there, but again, on the seaward side, like offshore reefs, offshore breakwaters, we can construct. So that will act as the first line of defense. So after that, the primary breaking of waves happen there, and after that, the secondary waves only will start attacking the coast. So that is also possible. Advance into the sea, then do nothing. That is actually the best option. Deal with the environment effects of erosion even as they come or ignore. But that is not always possible. This is usually the approach where there is no people or nothing of perceived value to protect. So as far as India is concerned, I think it is not a possible solution, but at least in areas which are not developed, we can attempt this. Then these management strategies are usually classified according to the main purpose, that is to defend. That is, earlier our aim was mainly to protect the area. So we never thought of mitigating this the effects of this drivers and all those things. But it was the main, the primary aim was to protect the structure. If you have a coastal structure, immediately protect it. But now we have started thinking of adapting to this and also retreat. So that is also, it's a positive approach. In the past, strategies have focused on coastal protection and defense of the property. That's what I've said. Threats from climate change and inevitability of sea level rise has seen a change in the management strategy, conservation to adaptation and retreat. So mitigation and adaptation are key concepts used in planning. In fact, they can be considered as the 3 pillars of response to climate change. So mitigation and adaptation. Resilience is what we need to look for. So the resilience means that if you have a coastal structure, that coastal structure will be able to survive under all conditions, even under extreme conditions. So that is what we should aim for. So that is, the structures should be designed in such a way that we design for the extreme conditions. So earlier we used to take 1 in 10-year condition, maximum extreme condition 25. So now we have to decide it for the 1 in 50 or 100-year worst condition. So other management measures are enhanced focus on coastal issues and representation of fishing communities in policy making and research processes. So we can get the inputs from these fishing communities. This traditional knowledge is also very important. Sometimes they can share their knowledge and we can collect information from them. Then increase awareness among fishing communities and stakeholders, improve fisheries management through bottom-up adaptive process. Then improve engine types and efficiency for better economic and ecological impacts. Address issues of sea safety and migrant fishers. Strengthen planning and measures for disaster and disaster preparedness. So that is what we have, a good alert system, that is for good forecasting system should be there, so that the coastal community will be alerted, and that is disaster alert system also should work properly. Then improve access to basic services and provide decent housing to the coastal community, promote livelihood diversification through consultative process. And this I have already mentioned about the CRZ classification. I'm not going into the details. This is CRZ 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm just showing a gist of that. And CRZ 1 actually deals with the intertidal zones. Then 2 is intertidal zone. Here intertidal zone 1. Here we have that mangrove area also. As per the rule, a 50-meter buffer should be provided all around the mangroves. That is CRZ 1A. Then it comes under CRZ 1A. Then CRZ 2 is under municipalities and it is a highly developed area. Then CRZ 3. Here the buffer is actually, earlier it was like 200 to 500 meters. Now one more category has been introduced, that is the CRZ 3A and B. So that is even within 50 meters from high tide line, but temporary constructions are allowed. So that is there. And CRZ 4, again, it deals with inland water bodies. So that is, how do we define this inland limit of the extreme limit of the inland? That's where we need to measure the salinity. So where the salinity level goes up to 5 ppt, it is considered as within the tidal limit and we need to protect it. So as per the CRZ 4 thing, 4A and 4B, so we need to provide, earlier it used to be 100-meter buffer we need to provide on either area. Now it has been reduced to 50 meters. So that is the thing. And this is the, I'll coming to my conclusion. Sustainable practices, adaptation strategies, and community resilience building efforts are crucial to mitigate climate change impacts effectively and ensure the well-being and sustainable development of coastal populations in India. Actually, a multidisciplinary approach, moving beyond the current natural and physical science viewpoint of climate change, is needed, bringing together social, health, economic, and natural scientists. And this will be the first step towards quantifying the social impact of climate change on coastal communities. Now, to end, climate mitigation and adaptation efforts should also be mainstreamed into macro-level regional development strategies and micro-level project planning in all sectors, in addition to the ongoing renewable energy and technology innovation efforts in urban infrastructure and transport. Thank you. I think I have taken more time.
Thank you, Madam. It is but natural, because this is such a vast area.
I'm sorry, I have exceeded my time limit. I'm sorry.
No, it was quite illuminating, and you have covered a lot in your presentation. And you have covered climate change in general, and about the greenhouse gases, not only about the ocean and things like that, about the vulnerability of coastline to say a few things like dangers of the coastal erosion, climate change impacts on the marine life, and the sea level rise, how it happens, and how what we should do to cope up with that. We've covered all that. And acidification of this was something, acidification of seawater due to the carbon dioxide. We were saying that carbon dioxide is absorbed by the ocean to
Yeah.
save from the climate change impacts, but the ocean itself is suffering because of that. The marine life, that is also something we learned. The organisms it is affecting adversely. So we also got
Even
some
I
ideas.
was not aware that lava is getting affected. Actually,
Yes.
when I started searching them for material, only I came to know that.
Yeah. So the short life and all that, you can,
Yeah.
feel as the health issues of,
Yeah, that is true.
you've never thought about that. So, and you had also identified some areas that we can all work on to cope up with these situations and lessen the impacts. So that's what, and the vulnerability of Mumbai, that is something very interesting. Mumbai is such a important place for us, city for us, and then that is also some eye opener for us.
Actually, this Sagar Island in West Bengal, no, they have adopted this retreat, but island is sinking only. Actually, the area is getting reduced year by year. So that there it is not working. Actually, this retreat.
Now we will have an interactive session. Before opening it for the interactive session, can I request Manju Park Madam was our Secretary General was there, but I'll just see whether ma'am, if you could with the
Stop sharing.
presentation, stop
Sheila ji?
sharing.
Yeah.
Then see everybody.
PowerPoint, shall I think it is gone. No, I have.
No, it is not gone.
You have to
sharing.
stop sharing.
I have to
sharing.
close it. Yeah, just a minute.
Yep. Then we can see everybody. I think Madam Manjuka was there, but right now I cannot see her. No. Upasana ji is here. Dr. Upasana, she is our treasurer. She is here. I would now request her to say a few words. And yeah.
Thank you so
much. Yeah.
for
I
organizing.
think I have some issue. Just a minute.
So you click on the share button itself, it will say stop sharing and you can stop sharing.
But it's not showing that stop sharing. I think is it gone? No. But it's not showing
No,
that.
I'll do it as admin. I think I can stop sharing.
Yeah, because it is not
very
showing that
Yeah.
stop sharing is not coming.
Yes.
Yeah, it is done. It is
No,
gone.
that's
It's done.
because we made some changes. Yeah,
No.
now it's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dr. Upasana ji.
For giving me this opportunity to become a part of such an informative and very, very important topic you have chosen for today's webinar. Because I remember when I was a student, we all read about this thing that the earth is covered by 70% of ocean, and so all the basic things we knew, that the climate change is affecting the life of ocean also, and the animals which are there, fishes and all kind of thing. But today's webinar is an eye opener, and it has so many angles that we are unaware of. And when Dr. Sheila Nair spoke about the indicators of climate change through ocean, it was just kind of, I was mesmerized by her talk. And the indicators which some of them she mentioned, like ocean heat, sea surface temperature, marine heat waves, sea level, coastal flooding, ocean acidity, and land loss along the Atlantic coast, with a special reference to our India. It was an eye-opening session for me. And I think that the problem is about maintaining balance between development and nature. So it's always, bone of contention between the environment and the social workers. Maintaining a balance between development and nature is always very difficult. So we are responsible for implementing right kind of policies and spreading awareness. And we need more committed, persons like Dr. Sheila Nair and other who can bring change, who can bring awareness among the society. So I thank you all. I thank you, Dr. Sheila Nair. I thank all the participants who are there in this webinar. And I wish that we can work together and bring some change in the society. Thank you, Bhuvneshwari. Thank you.
Thank you, Asna ji. Thank you very much. Beena Jain madam is there, our patron, and Sheila Kakre ji patron is there. Kuljit Kaur ji is there. So, Beena Jain madam, I would request you to say a few words, please.
No, Manumati, thank you very much, but this subject was very new to me, and I'm very far from ocean, but it's really, really wonderful presentation. I must thank Dr. Sheila Nair, and very detailed, and one can understand easily, but what to do? You see, all over this year, we faced the heat, so much heat, that these are the reason. We didn't understand that why this sudden so heat is there. So one thing I want to ask Dr. Sheila Nair, I'm in Delhi, very far. But is it possible that we are also affecting for all these things? So ocean is so far off from us.
Actually, the melting of ice and all those things, no, that is finally it reaches the ocean only. And another thing is that increase in this greenhouse gas effect. It is there everywhere. It is there.
Okay. Even
Fossil fuels, no, the rise in temperature is due to that.
Okay. And
so then because of that only you are getting this cyclonic storms are coming. So that actually, whether it is Delhi or this thing, you get heavy rain there, no? That and drought is also it's because of climate change only. Because actually ocean controls this atmosphere.
And you have mentioned that acidity problem.
Yes. Ocean acidity. Ocean acidity.
Also ocean acidity. So it's quite eye-opening, and it's a very new subject for us, and I'm very grateful that you told us all these things. Really, your presentation was just mesmerized, and very good presentation.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tam.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Okay.
Now, can I speak?
Just one second. I will request our patron, Sheila Kakre ji, if she would like to say something.
Yes.
Yeah. Thereafter, I will open the floor for everybody can speak, please. Sorry.
Hello.
Yeah.
But, Sheila Kakade here.
Yeah.
It was
Madam is
really,
in
really
from
wonderful.
Mumbai.
Can you hear? I'm from Mumbai, very near to Indian Ocean.
Okay.
And we really face, when we go to our Juhu beach, we face we see the changes, and we really feel that we have to do something. But your presentation was very, very elaborate and very informative, and would like to talk to you, little later, maybe. I can take the number from Bhuvneshwari ji and Usha ji, and how we can do something to save our Mother Earth in Mumbai, directly from here. So thank you very much, Sheila ji. Bhuvneshwari, very nice presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Kuljit ji, you would like to talk, and I'll open the floor for the discussion.
Thank you so much, Bhuvneshwari. It was a wonderful presentation, and I must admit For me, everything was a new information, especially the way she has explained about the impact of ocean on Bombay. That is very shocking. I have lived in Visakhapatnam. I have seen the impact of ocean in Visakhapatnam beach, how it has entered the city and how it has covered the University of also Visakhapatnam. So I could relate to that thing, that how this ocean, this climate change is going to impact the lives of those who are staying by the seaside. It was a great information. Sheila Nair has really, Dr. Sheila Nair has a detailed study she has shared with us. We are thankful to her for this thing. And thanks Bhuvneshwari and Usha also for organizing this program also. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank
Madam,
you.
may I?
Yeah. Rita Rajji, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. And on the outset, I should really thank you both, Bhuneshwari and Usha Nair Chechi, for organizing this. And it's like something which I've been trying to read about this for some time. And thank you, Dr. Sheila Nair. She has given a lot of inputs, lots and lots. From that inputs, I think we need to go and Google and search and find more. I've jotted down some things and I've taken some screenshots of that. So I just wanted to ask something. Like we are trying to do something on this. As I said, RPM Women's Welfare Association has organized a tree plantation session on August 18th near Kovalam Beach. That's Kovalam is not near Kerala. There is a Kovalam in Chennai also.
Yeah,
So
I know
this,
that because I was there
yeah.
in Chennai.
Oh, yes, yes, doctor. So you know that. So
Yeah.
that Kovalam Beach we have taken as a place, and we are planning for 200 trees, saplings, but I don't know how far we can. So all that we have to take into account now. But then we are
But
also
what is the
organizing.
type of soil there actually? Because it will survive only in muddy, silty
Yes,
environment,
yes,
not
yes.
in
That's what.
sand.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to identify. It's just a thought. We are going to do this tree plantation there, and we are going to, as you said in your conclusion, the coastal fisher folk, those women, we are trying to engage them also in this tree
Yeah.
plantation. And then we are trying, they wanted some equipments for their fish cutting, big knife, and one
Yeah.
big aluminium annakuda, they say, and one arvamane to cut the small fish and all that. So all that we are giving there are 40 women for whom we are trying to do that. But the main thing is we want to engage them in this trying to do away with the soil erosion thing. So I want to know what kind of saplings will be better.
Actually, it's not my area. Mangroves means somebody from that background because I don't have any background in that field. Mangroves, but it will definitely survive only in if the material soil composition is mostly like silt and clay, the silt, muddy environment, not in sandy beaches. It will not survive. That's why, and where that wave activity is high, also it will. We should have an intertidal zone. So salt water also it can survive, but this alternate wetting and drying should take place. Because too much of wave action means it will not survive because it gets damaged.
Yeah, probably we can do some a little inward, not along the shore. Probably inward also, because the shore is always coming up, no?
Yeah.
So that is what I thought was there is a temple there. It's closer to the coast only. Probably
is it Mahabalipuram temple or
not Mahabalipuram? It's Kovalam, exactly
Kovalam. Okay.
Kovalam. So probably, but I have to little more do some more little.
But how is that shoreline receding? But it has happened in the recent past, or it is like over the years it has been receding?
No, it's like over the years only, not like
Okay. Not
abrupt
due to
thing.
not due to cyclone like Oki and
No,
all
no, no. No, nothing like drastic like that.
that. Yeah,
But
okay.
anyway, I thought tree plantation will do some effect, no,
Yeah.
for the environment.
And
Yeah.
even the sea grass also it will reduce the effect actually. It will retain
yeah.
the sediment to a certain extent.
Okay, okay.
Because we
So,
should not
yeah.
allow the beach material to go into the sea.
Okay, yeah, I understand. I understand.
It should retain the sediments.
Yeah, it has to put that.
So like shrub-like thing also you can try sea grass and or you can go for a combination also. Some hearts one photograph I showed no last this thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to speak with the what is that ocean management center at
Anna University.
Not Anna University. There is an ocean
Rajalakshmi.
Not Rajalakshmi. She's Krishnaveni now.
Krishnaveni. I know her.
Oh, she's our member, RPM member.
Okay,
So,
she's the director of that institute.
Yeah, now she's the director of that ocean
Yeah, I know
management.
her.
Oh, nice. So I'll just refer you to her. So we're just trying to talk with her, and then we're trying to do something. It's only in the planning session, but August 18th is the date we have fixed.
Okay.
Anyway,
How much
so
area
much.
you are trying to do? Protect how much area? How much area?
All that we have to just go on.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
And
just
where,
in the planning stage.
Yeah, it's very much in the planning stage. But when you spoke about this, I said, okay, forget it. We are doing something. Even if it's not going to be on the coastal area, we'll do for the environment. Trees are always necessary anywhere.
Yeah. Actually, it can reduce the impact of waves. Actually, even this trees also, tree-like things also. Because in tsunami, they have, it is reported wherever that trees were there, that effect was much less, it seems, compared.
Yeah, tsunami, this area was also affected by tsunami, right? Kovalam and all that. So probably, but
wherever
probably
the vegetation was there, that impact was less.
Correct. Yes. So anyway, thank you, doctor. I am taking up too much of the time. I'll let go so that others have a chance to speak.
Thank you. Nice talking.
Thank you very much. Because even if one or two branches are benefited, by this webinar, I'm very happy that
Yes,
you will come through, and that's very nice.
Shall I, madam?
Yeah, please, Bhanumati ji, yes, please.
Thank you, madam. Good evening to all of you. Sheila ji, I am Bhanumati. Bhuneshwari mentioned about Kakinada branch, which is doing beach cleaning daily. Daily beach cleaning project we are doing, madam.
Daily,
almost all the problems you expressed, I mean the troubles we are facing, because we are nearer to the sea. This is Bay of Bengal, Kakinada. So every time we feel that we'll get something from the sea. Sea will not retain all the waste products. It will be come to the shore.
Brought back to the shore.
Yeah, back to the shore, because we are surprised. Sometimes the ship will be, dropped it at near in the middle of the sea, because Kakinada is not having a big port to have the ships here. But we'll get some products from there, because they are the plastic covers which they eat. This is junk food, chips, something. It will come to the shore.
Actually, I have touched that part. Actually, pollution, ocean pollution, that's altogether different.
Yes, madam. Then in that, surprisingly, we see small fish, because of this plastics, other things, they will die, entangling in that. And also another most important threat is the tourism. People will come for the beach to enjoy their holidays or other things, but they bring sorts of food items in plastics only. They leave there. That will go to the sea, but it will come out. But still, they have given the threat to the small fish, small marine life there in the sea. And another thing is, the fishermen will have the big nylon nets for fishing. Sometimes the nets are broken, so they live in the sea only, they come out. that in that nets we used to see, because they come to the shore, many fish, many, all small marine, life are entangled in that, and they die of that, struggling to come out from their mouth. Sometimes we have taken out also, with a small, big fish, this type of fish, we have taken out some.
Ma'am, you are muted,
This
Bhanumati.
thing cleaning, madam.
You were muted for a second. That's it.
Madam?
Now we can.
Now
You
we
were
can.
muted for some time.
Yeah. Just because I am experiencing all these things. That's why I am just, I have come out to the experience, because these are the things, madam. I think together we can make a difference, madam. If we work together with the government and other local bodies, and as somebody said, we are conducting awareness also to the fishermen and other things, to not to throw these things like that, and to the visitors to the beach also. But of course, it takes time, but we should not lose hope. We are striving for the
Madam,
last 2
I
years. We
think,
are doing the same thing. Madam.
government can impose fine, I think.
Yeah,
Fine
that's
is,
no, exactly what we have put up some boards also on the sea coast, madam. But somebody has pulled down the boards and has written, no fine, this is our beach, like that. What can we do? Okay, madam.
Ma'am,
Yes, thank you
when
so
you go
much.
to.
Thanks a lot for your elaborate things. Thank you,
Thank you,
Bhuvaneshwari.
Bhanumati ji. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thank you. You're doing a very good
Thank you.
work in that area. And
Yes,
when it's only in our country that we don't have fines, you know.
Yeah.
If you go to beaches in Thailand and other places, we are
Yes,
not
madam.
allowed to take plastic bottles. We just
Yes.
cannot. And heavy fines are there. So that's
Yeah.
one solution that, imposing
We are
fines.
not able
Plastics,
to
I think you
implement
should
that.
not allow plastics, sir.
Plastic.
Actually,
Yes,
it
madam.
causes ulcers in fish. These
Yes.
microplastics, when they
Yeah,
feed
all
on
these
that
paper
plastics.
bags,
Yeah,
especially.
yeah.
Yeah.
When they feed
Yeah.
on that, actually, even now it is, because if you test the water, it is available in the form of microplastics. So we cannot see with our eye, naked eye.
Yes. Thank you so much, madam. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Asha ji, Rani ji, Jamila ji is there? Jamila ji was talking about some show where it was shown that tree planting was so helpful. She was talking
Hello.
about it today.
Hello.
Yeah, Asha ji, boliye.
No, I heard everything and it's really interesting topic. But we are far from the sea. So if at all Mumbai branch can do something, I can help them. That is definite. Sheila ji knows that I will definitely help them. Whatever things they need to do, I will be definitely with them.
Okay. Yeah, that's. I have one. I was just wondering, Dr. Sheila, you were talking about various types of coastal areas like rocky coast, marshy coast, and all that. Which you said that it is not rocky coast is not impacted. Is it because the rocks are there, the waves cannot come, or is it? It's not
Rock
impacted
means if
like
it is hard rocks, if it is soft rocks, it will be impacted. Hard rocks like Dharmadam you have in Kannur region, no? So that the effect, it can withstand that high wave activity and all those things.
Okay.
Because it's like a structure there, no? That is like we are considering seawall, so it can resist that if it is hard rocks. But in the rock, if it is made of a soft material, means definitely it will get affected.
Yeah, in Pondicherry also we have the rocky beach, right?
Okay.
But it is
Mahabalipuram
getting
area, I think it is there.
Mahabalipuram, there are rocks. Yes.
Pondicherry also, yes.
Pondicherry also.
Yes.
But over the years, erosion can happen, but the rate will be at a very slow pace. Because rocks, we need to disintegrate, and suppose if there is some crack or something in that, then I think that it gets disintegrated easily. Big portion can fall.
Yes, chunk of.
Yeah, that is true. But otherwise, it remains intact compared to the sandy beaches and other.
Yeah, comparatively.
Comparatively.
Exactly. Yes.
Anyone else would like to have any intervention? Okay, shall we conclude it, Ushaji?
Yes.
Yeah, you can say your remarks and
Yes.
Yeah, I thank everyone for giving me this opportunity. Anyway, it is the first kind of thing for me to interact with a forum like this because it was a nice experience.
No, it was a very comprehensive presentation. First of all, the first few slides on climate change, and with great clarity, she has given us the idea about climate change, why it happens and how it is affecting, and the overall view of climate change. Though we have had several webinars and programs on climate change, this has come as a refresher course for us, explaining to us why climate change is happening. And coming to oceans, as Dr. Sheila has also explained, oceans were in fact protecting the world from climate change for many, many centuries. Oceans absorb most of the carbon that is in the atmosphere. Almost 30% of the carbon is absorbed by oceans. But then, as we saw in a slide that she showed, the graph suddenly shoots up after the Industrial Revolution, and then there is a dramatic change later in the
earlier the balance was maintained actually.
Yes, it has shot up and mainly due to human activity. So now even the ocean is not able to withstand the assault of human activities. That is why the
threshold
ocean
limit
is slowly getting degenerating. We see that the ice shelves in the poles are melting and water is flowing into the lower other areas. And as she explained, giving rise to the rise in sea levels. But the other alarming factor is that scientists are worried that with this melting, all the carbon that has been captured and which is kept deep in the oceans, they may slowly start getting released, which will add to the atmospheric carbon and accelerate the process of climate change. So now we have to take the role of protecting the oceans. Many of my friends here have been asking that we are far away from the sea, like Binaji was also asking, how can we help? I think the most important thing is protection of water bodies. Water bodies anywhere, whether they are rivers or ponds or anything, ultimately they all end up in the sea. So any waste that is dumped into the rivers, we know that most of the towns and cities on river banks, they are discharging all their waste into the rivers, and including plastic waste. So all this waste gets washed out into the sea, and we have seen very dramatic pictures of huge islands of plastic waste floating in the oceans in many parts of the world, which is threatening the life of the oceans, threatening the marine life in the seas, and that is a very major threat. So I think our branches all over India, whether they are coastal or not, they can take up this activity of protection of water bodies and see that the waste is not dumped in the water bodies and further degenerating the rivers and the oceans. And another thing is about the food safety in the coastal areas. Most of the people are dependent on a rich diet of fish. But as Dr. Sheila has explained, now the fishes are disappearing. They are not able to survive in the oceans there are many reasons, because of the acidification of the oceans, because of the rise in sea levels, the rise in temperatures. They say that the types of fish in the Kerala coast, I have read many articles where they say the variety, the fish that were available a few years back, which was favorite with the people, now they are no longer available. So the explanation is that those fishes have moved further north to cooler oceans, cooler areas. And what we get are different species of fish now. So like this, the diet patterns are also getting affected, food safety is getting affected, and availability of pure drinking water That also Dr. Sheila has explained how with the rising sea levels, the salt water gets into our drinking water systems and pollute the water bodies in the coastal areas, and there is severe shortage of drinking water. So all these are problems that probably we can focus on and educate the people in the coastal areas and in other areas. And then another thing that we can do in the coastal branches is look out for violations of the code. That is, there are rules for construction, there are rules for dumping of waste. There are so many rules which are very, very good, but then they are not followed properly. So maybe we can be watchdogs. We can keep our eyes open for violations. For example, the building code. We see that many of these tourist areas, they are constructing buildings very close to the shore, which is not at all allowed, but then by hook or by crook, they get permissions, they allow such buildings to come up. So maybe we can be the watchdogs and we can warn the people, go to the government, see whether we can stop such things. And planting of trees, that many of our branches are already doing. Planting of mangroves we have done in Calcutta in the Sundarbans area, and I remember that a branch in Pondicherry had taken up that work, and probably in Goa also. So that is another thing that AWC can promote. And when we can engage experts. Preeta was just asking about the soil type and whether which type of trees can grow. We can engage experts, maybe from the agricultural universities or from forest departments, and then we can find out, we can analyze the soil, and we can identify the trees that will grow in these particular areas. So that is
somebody specialization in aquatic biology can help you. Aquatic biology.
Yes, so we can get the services of experts who can advise us on how to do this well. That is another area where I think AWC can do a lot. And then another very important thing is, which I've seen that in many countries they are doing it, that is providing alternate livelihoods for the people in the coastal areas, especially the women. The women are deprived of livelihoods, like they go out and sell fish and bring some money into the family, but then they are not able to do it when the fish catch is low, or when fishing is not allowed. Like now, for extended periods, we see that fishing boats are not allowed to go into the sea because of severe cyclones or severe weather events. So in such cases, they are deprived of their sole source of income. So it is good if we can explore the possibility of providing some alternate livelihoods, training the women and men also in alternate livelihoods, which they can sustain and which can tide them over the bad times. So that is another area where maybe we can do some work. And the main thing is that preventing dumping of waste, whether it is into the sea or into the cleaning of beaches is very, very important. Like Kakinada, they have been doing extremely good work, and very regularly they have been doing. And now I am happy to see that many branches are taking up similar initiatives. So that has to be intensified. And along with that, we can educate the people inland as well as in the coastal areas about how dangerous this waste is for all water bodies and mainly for the oceans. So it leads to acidification of oceans and destroyal of marine life, and there are many things. So one thing we have to understand after listening to Dr. Sheila, one thing that we must understand is oceans are very, very important for us to fight climate change and to continue with a sustainable living. So all of us have to join together and see that we do something, whatever is within our power, to protect the oceans, educate the people, especially starting with children, about the importance of ocean. And one more thing I would like to just mention is, at the international level now, there is a lot of talk about mitigation of the carbon in the atmosphere. And one very dangerous thing that we feel, many civil society organizations feel are dangerous solutions, One is capturing carbon from the atmosphere and storing it deep in the oceans. So what they feel is it will reduce carbon in the atmosphere and it will be safe inside the oceans, but it may not be. It seems like a very dangerous solution. So that carbon capture and sequestration is one of the hot topics in the climate change discourse internationally. So that also it will help us to keep track of what is happening at the international level and what are the new technologies, what are the new methods that are being advocated. And it is very important for us to react if we feel that something is not good, which can be dangerous. Though it is not affecting us, it is something that is going on at a much larger scale. But still, we have space to voice our concerns and mark our protest in such things also. So with those words, I would like to thank Dr. Sheila Nair for that excellent presentation and talk. And I thank all the office bearers, President Kalyani Raj, Secretary General Manju Kak, Treasurer Upasana Singh, all three had joined. And though I think we couldn't get to listen to Dr. Manju Kak, I thank them, and I thank Senior Patron Veena-ji and Dr. Sheila Kakde. Both of them have joined, and then many senior members, Asha Deshpande, Kunjit Kaur, Asha Gambhir, and many others have joined from all different parts of the country. We are grateful to you for joining in this program, and I hope all of us can put our heads together and devise ways of doing something in this very, very important area. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Usha. Thank you so much for guiding us so well.
Yeah.
We had heard the presentation, but we didn't know how to handle it. Recently, we read that in the fish in the ocean, when they cut that fish, there was so much of plastic inside their bodies. No, so this is the way that ocean is being spoiled and made dirty by the users. As she has also said, this Bhuvaneshwari from Kakinada. She also said the problem they face when they go for the cleaning of the beach. So the citizens have to be made aware about these things, which they are not. So that also awareness program can also be organized by the members of ARWC.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yes, Puljitji, as you said, the fish is having so much of plastic in its stomach, and that fish is being eaten by people.
Yes.
So
yes,
the
very right.
end product is our stomachs.
The other day, somebody said that these days they have seen that when the mother is feeding the child, through her milk also the plastic is being passed to the child.
Yes,
I mean, it's so
exactly.
dangerous and everywhere it's so prevalent now. So we have to be very careful about that. Very careful.
Very careful.
Now action is required, Usha, with your guidance.
Definitely, Sheila ji, I'm always there to help you with whatever knowledge I have. Working in climate change for so many years, I have a little knowledge, but I'll be definitely, I can help you with finding out more details, finding out more avenues where we can work together. So that's what I said. Let us all put our heads together and design some good programs that can, especially in this area. Let us do that.
Yes, coastal areas.
Sure.
Thank you.
Usha, you remember in Morocco also, there were some ladies, those who said that how they are going to control the ocean and they are working around that, and men, they don't know how to handle it.
Yes,
that?
And that is where we also heard about alternate livelihoods for the women. You remember how they were promoting traditional crafts, how they were training the women to do weaving and stitching and all their traditional crafts they were trying to revive and put the women to that so that they could earn some income. So something like that we can also design.
Because when we talked about women, no, I was reminded of that how the alternate skills also can be utilized to make them economically empowered.
Yes.
How we did for BD workers like that.
Yes,
alternate vocation.
So for each area, we have to conduct a survey and find out which is a suitable livelihood that we can offer to these women. and train them with the top experts, put them in touch with experts, put them in touch with marketing opportunities. So that will be a good beginning for AWC. And with our extensive network, I'm sure we can do a very good job.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
It was actually a very good webinar, and thank you all.
No, it has become a brainstorming session.
Yeah, yeah.
Not only webinar, Bhuvaneshwari, you have done a good job.
Yes,
Very good
thank
job. Thank you so much for that.
Actually, what we will do is, what I will attempt to do is, I will try to go through the YouTube and see the programs that projects that we can undertake.
Very
And,
good.
you know,
Yes.
there are, we cannot undertake many things, big things, but even small initiatives like, you know,
Yes.
what we always say, we can see and I'll try to list out what we can do. And for the coastal region as well as the others.
And
You know,
share with others also.
Yes. I'll definitely share with all the branches and AWC, and we'll see. Like even the river cleaning and whatever, you know, water bodies, cleaning of water bodies in other parts. That will also help. So all these ideas I'll put across and I'll try to list out and put it out soon. That's what I can do.
Preeta is already doing stitching
Yeah.
work.
Yes.
Preeta, what are you stitching?
Alternate.
That's a nice question. Let me show you. Yeah. Good that you asked me, Kuljit ji. Can you see this?
Yes,
WIA.
WIA.
Embroidery.
WIA. Yes, embroidery.
Very
We
nice.
started, Padmaji has asked us not to use tissues anymore.
Very good.
So I'm doing all this for WIA.
Oh.
Preeta, I have stopped using these tissues in my house. I am keeping
Yes.
these small towels in the back of the dining chairs.
Yes.
So everybody is supposed to use these towels and not these tissues.
Yes.
It's a very good idea.
I can show my mom also. She's also doing this.
So sweet.
It's a very, very good
Namaskar.
initiative. Very good.
Namaskar.
And all
She is 87-year-old.
Huh.
So I gave her that job also. So we both are
Good,
doing the
Preeta.
embroidery.
Good,
WIA.
Preeta. Good.
Dr. Sheila has taken so much of efforts and spent so much of time with us. Madam, I'm really grateful to you. And the moment I spoke to her, I knew that, we had elaborate talks, yesterday also we spoke, and I knew that it's going to be very informative, this brainstorming session, as I say.
Yeah.
That was really nice. Thank you so much, Dr. Sheila, and we will be in touch with you in future also for any guidance required from you.
Actually, I didn't touch this pollution part because it's altogether a different topic, because I was asked to talk about ocean global warming.
Yeah.
Maybe you can work towards reducing this carbon dioxide emission. That is greenhouse gas effects. How to reduce it?
Actually, we got to know about the three main greenhouse gases. We say that methane is less than carbon dioxide, but it's more dangerous.
More
And
dangerous. 100 years, more than 100 years, it remains in that.
nitrous oxide. So all these are really good knowledge that we have gained from your presentation. It's very useful. So let's
The session now.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for giving this opportunity. Okay. It's the
Thank
first
you,
time
Dr.
I'm
Sheila.
interacting with such a group. Okay.
Yeah, and we hope to invite you for some face-to-face sessions in Trivandrum. We have many
Okay.
branches in Trivandrum, so we'll be in touch with you. Thank you so
Okay.
much. And I thank all my friends who have patiently sat through this 2-hour webinar, and all of you have shown great interest in the interactions. Thank you, and see you
Thank you.
again at the next interesting webinar. We'll be organizing very soon especially on climate change. Before the COP in November, we want to organize at least 2-3 sessions which relate to climate change and important aspects of climate change. So we'll definitely be coming back to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Usha. Thank you very much.
Thank you.